Hey guys, normally there's a lot more people that come, so we'll start adding them in, but we'll get started in about a minute. Good morning. What's up, Hunter? How's it going, dude?
Good, how are you?
Good, man. Good. Cool. So we'll get started right now. Normally it's about 20 people that come. Maybe it's a bit early, but we'll get started. So today we're going to go over knowing your margins is the most important thing, especially if you want to start scaling up exponentially. And then ask me some questions during the way. There's not a lot of people on, so it makes it easy. We can kind of go like tailor this to each person now. Makes it a lot easier. Cool. So the biggest thing in terms of like how you want to grow, you want to know what your purchase price is, right? So basically it goes down to money in, money out, money in, and then money out, right? On this money in, money out concept, right? So you want to know your ROI, also your turnover. These are probably the two biggest numbers that you want to know. With this information, you can then raise debt or you can get debt and you can see how fast your items are churning. So personally for me, right, let's say I'm spending 10K, my ROI is 35% and my turnover is 47 days, right? And if your turnover is under 60 days, you can do a lot of financing options that are really useful, I guess you could say. Some of those useful options is credit card. Also, you want to be buying on credit card too, because you can get your points and all that stuff. Credit card, you can get a PayPal loan. There's other ones that PayPal loan, you're looking at about a 10 to 15% interest rate. Obviously, credit cards, you have about 60 days to pay them off, give or take. So if you know these two options on the bottom, on terms of purchase price, ROI, and turnover, you can start scaling exponentially a lot quicker. So on that top end too, so we'll kind of go through like how to scale and know your numbers on top of that. So obviously you have your sourcing, you have your listing, cross listing, cross listing, cross listing, and let's call it shipping. So the one thing you need to have up front, this is great if you do liquidation. So liquidation is probably the easiest way to scale because you can buy bulk, right? So you need to have a lot of processing power up front on this side. So with the sourcing side, let's say you're doing liquidation. I know that's what you are doing, Hunter, so it makes it easy. We can go from that. So what I would do on liquidation, I've been looking at this kind of deeply as well. I would take a purchase price. The more obviously more money you put in, the more money you'll get out. The biggest problem about liquidation in general is you don't know your return on investment beforehand. With that, it makes it a lot harder to deal with the scale, right? So what I would do if it was me, I would buy pallets from a distributor. Make sure you know that return on investment from that distributor, and you can start scaling up pretty quickly. So if the numbers are correct, every $10,000 that you put in, you're getting a 35% return on investment. That makes it what, 3,500 bucks. And then this can scale, right? So there's a couple ways you can do this. The problem is going to be the biggest bottleneck is obviously the listing and shipping part, but if you can get it down, it makes it a lot easier to move really quickly. So then it becomes just a lot easier, money in, money out. So the whole concept to really hit and scale is just knowing money in and then money out. This makes it super, super simple to really kind of pick it up and process a lot of power. And then you just have that middle processing in between. So on that liquidation side, again, I would pick these big liquidation pallets up. Obviously, the higher dollar amount you put in, the more money you're going to get out on average. And then you're looking for a higher margin. If you're looking, the biggest problem about it, this is going to happen is when you're in a buying situation. I'll kind of go over. I know I sent an email. Like I picked about $400,000 worth of product, and I put zero money down on it. So there's a couple ways to finance that kind of stuff. You can help hit that scale. But in terms of reselling, especially if you start really pumping a lot of product through the system. So let's say you have your money you have in let's call it your bank account money, right? that you have in your bank account. This money, whenever you are a reseller, you're actually paying dollars, right, up front, unless you get a 30-day or 60-day note on it for the inventory. You're paying money up front. So your sales, this is how all resellers, even myself, like when I do eBay to Amazon arbitrage, my money goes down, my sales go up, right? So this is the biggest, I wouldn't say problem, but this is the biggest like hurdle in reselling. Once you get your whole back end figured out in terms of your listing, your processing, your shipping, and when you can start hitting scale, this is gonna be your biggest problem every time. In terms of number wise. So the more money you put in, the more money you're really spending, right? The higher your sales are, but then you have to either replace this money or finagle it some way to really start gathering a lot of cash. Again, this is me getting a loan, using credit cards. One thing about credit cards, you can get really sketchy if you do not know your turnover, and if it slows down, or you get banned. So then you are on the hook for that, right? So it starts getting really hard to move a lot of weight, because if you're using credit cards, it can get sketchy. So like my company last year, I'll kind of give an example. We had, so we did 1.7 in 12 months. So with that, it made it really hard to scale. So we had the backend processing done correctly, but obviously the money became a problem. So like pushing that much scale that quickly with that big of a ramp up in terms of money, in terms of sales, the cash went down really fast. So we had about $200,000 of debt. And then I only recommend taking debt out if you know your margins, you know how fast you can turn over product, and you know you can take it on. If you can't do that, do not take on debt, do not use credit cards. Makes it super, super sketchy if you do not know how fast your turnover is and that margin. So let's say I had that $200,000 of debt last year. I'll take that, and then I had 1.7 in sales. So with this, like we had a 47-day turnaround. So I knew my turnaround is fast enough. I can use credit cards, and I was making enough margin. I could use credit cards, right? So this was a mixture of credit cards. We had about $120,000 of credit card debt last year, and about $80,000 of loan debt. On the loan debt, we took out PayPal loans, makes it a lot easier. And it was about we average about a 10 or 11% interest rate on that PayPal. Now PayPal does it, they give it you up front, and then they take it out each month in turning the interest and the principal. So there's another way you can finagle that if you get a balloon payment, or family and friends that are more happy to do balloon payments. But so last year, we did that 200K. We were running at like about I usually had like $1,000, right? $1,000 in my bank account, and then our sales were continuously climbing. We would just reinvest, take no profit out, and that's how we hit that scale. But like I was talking about before, with that dollar amount, it just drops super fast the more you have sales. So there's ways to do that. Again, take out credit card debts or loans, or you can even do what I did last week, is when we do this kind of stuff, we can also do it on consignment. So the background about last week is I pulled out about $400,000 of high-end electronics from my past company. So I used to run a downsize and estate company. If y'all want to use this model, you're more than welcome to so basically, this is kind of our rates. This is how we run a downsize in a estate company. Again, I don't do downsize or estates anymore. They're just kind of they're hard to scale. So now we kind of tailored it to high-end, super high-end luxury items. So I can see this is the way how I run consignment in terms of this way. And this actually solves for that problem of having too many, not enough money in super high scale. So at that 400,000 mark, we were probably going to make 120 to 150K net after all, just from the consignment. So it's a great way to really, really build up cash, is do these kind of weird financing options or payment options to then help grow your business a lot quicker. There's a couple different ways to do it. Again, if you are buying liquidation, there's no one's going to give you a 30 or 60 day unless you're buying a lot, like you're buying thousands and thousands of dollars, so you have to pay up front. But there's just different options to how to really work this. Cool. We also have a small group today, so I can answer any questions. If you want to go over your business model in general, this is the perfect time to ask as well. So we only have about 5 people. No, it's about 20 or 30. Kind of bumped up the time, so that's probably why. Cool. If not, I'll just go through. I'll just keep going through. Cool. You can always put it in chat too if you have any questions. Awesome. We'll make this one a bit shorter today as well, by about 30 minutes, just so we can push through as much as possibly can. Does anybody know their margins on the top of their head on how much they are making in terms of on average for their products? And then we can kind of figure out how we can scale that and what's the best way to scale that. Again, you can put it in chat speaking here as well. If not, I'll just kind of go through how I'm scaling or how we're looking to help other people scale too. Cool. So what we're doing the next steps to help scale, we're doing a few things. One, trying to figure out all these bottlenecks that are happening with people. So again, if you have any questions, bottlenecks. So we're kind of figuring out, obviously the listing part is a big bottleneck, right? We have the customer service. Customer service is a pain, and shipping is hard. So our next goal is to solve for all these problems or all these bottlenecks. Also sourcing. A lot of people are having trouble really sourcing good products. And right now we've had a couple of feelers on the market. A lot of the liquidation because of COVID, it's tough, right? Because not a lot of activities going on in terms of retail. So all like the big retail stores, all the big retail stores are having a lot of problems getting good inventory. So obviously supply and demand, you're seeing this in the car market as well. Right now there's not a lot of supply, so the demand's going up, so the margins are decreasing. In terms of numbers as well, this is what normally happens. This is always happens, right? So in terms of when the supply and demand, right? When supply and then demand, you're not gonna really ever find a vacuum. You might find a vacuum here and there. And we'll kind of go over that. So supply and demand, obviously the lower the supply, the more the demand's going up. So that's obviously increase in price. And then we can go from there. For me, listing is the issue. Paula, perfect. So with listing, what are you listing? You're listing clothes, I believe, correct?
No, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Sorry.
You're
Okay.
good.
So no, actually vintage hard goods mostly,
Okay.
and toys, vintage toys, and mostly vintage toys.
Okay.
So I have a pretty high ASP. Actually, right now it's over $100.
Okay. Nice.
Since I started a little over a year ago, where of course when you start you don't know as much. It's still at $72 if I divide my total sales by my total transactions.
Nice.
So, yeah, which is great because I have a pretty small store. Actually, it's only 399 items right now.
Okay.
So my issue is being able to list faster. And I did sign up for Hammock, of course, which is why I'm on here, but we've had some struggles with getting that going.
Yep.
It's with the eBay, I guess there's an issue. So it's been several weeks and we haven't been able to make any progress. But for me, it's a little tough because I didn't realize when I signed up that you're more limited to clothes and electronics. So it's hard to find a way to list kind of different, it's almost different each time. So I'm trying to find a way to say just do a particular type of product, like vintage Barbies in the box, and have say you guys do that, or vintage games and puzzles, because you can read right on the box what it is. It makes it a lot easier.
Yep.
But like I said, my problem is just getting it listed. I do have a death pile, which is awesome. And like I said, I have a really good ASP, but getting it up there is my issue.
100%. So what our team can do is anything that has a brand and a model is going to be the easiest way to do it. So like the problem is going to be the vintage, vintage thing that there is no brand for. Our team doesn't know what it is, right? Unless you want to add in the brand. So what I would do, if you really want to speed it up, maybe it's is I would even give us like parameters, right? So if you know the brand of it, let's say, um, if you know the brand of it or even like the model base of it, makes it easy. Then we can go search and then find a similar comp. That's gonna be the easiest way for us to do these kind of items. But like you said, right? So we need the easiest way for us is we need to have a brand or model that we can then go and figure, and then we can go down and research that kind of stuff. So that's the way we can do these non-clothing, non-electronic, non-puzzle items. We just need some extra information, and our team can do those still.
Okay, well, that's why I'm trying to start with the things that do have a brand name and have, that are in a box. So you literally can see, what game it is and what year it is. And my 16-year-old, I actually hired her to take photos, and she takes really good ones. So,
Nice.
So that part is, that's all trained, and I've got that. But to get that kind of average sale price that's so high, I need to spend a lot more time on sourcing, which I love, which everybody loves. That's my favorite part. I don't want to hire somebody to source. I couldn't hire somebody to source because it's just, I kind of have a pretty good instinct. And that's pretty hard to teach, but the listing, I think, is something I could outsource. So, anyway, just, I guess, waiting to resolve whatever the issue is with eBay. I don't know how it is this week, but
yeah. So yep. So on that side, right now, again, like we talked, eBay permissions are down just across the board. So that's the difficult part. We are working on our own solution, and you can use like LastPass or some other option, right? Those are the two options we have in terms of be able to move faster. But we are adding we're adding in the API, so the backend connection with eBay. We've been obviously on the phone with them for a while now. So we just got permission to use their API on the back end. So we're adding that into the software. So that should be up by at least, we're launching it today in our dev environment. So we'll test it today and probably launch it in 2 to 3 days, hopefully by Friday at the latest.
Oh, that's great. Because, because when I called eBay, they said, no, your permissions are on. I don't understand what the issue is. But of course, that's, customer service. They don't always know what's going on in the background. So I was concerned about that. I didn't want to use LastPass because to me, that's the same as giving somebody my password, because they can still get on and do whatever they want with my account. So for me, that doesn't solve that problem. They won't see the password, but they're still getting access the same way I would if I save my passwords in my computer.
So really the only thing that, in terms of like having account access, right, there's really not much somebody can do inside that, right? It's like when I run buying, I buy about, last year I did buy about $1 million worth of product. I use the same guys I have right now. But there's nothing inside most accounts. One bank, any credit card or banks is all blocked off, so you can't change that. There's really nothing inside these basic accounts that could really do damage. That's kind of the interesting part, but I understand either way.
I didn't really know that, so that's good to know.
Definitely.
I can think about that then.
Cool. And then Elaine had a question. Do you guys have a good tracking sheet that will pull up all your numbers in the same time? Elaine, what do you mean by numbers in terms of your listings, or are you talking about your prices or your overall back end numbers in terms of return on investment, or can you give me some more information about that, please? I can keep going through while you do that. Cool.
My question is, like, I know managed payment might do it all, because right now I'm having to go from eBay to PayPal to get all my numbers together, and I'm keeping track of everything. And I just was wondering, maybe managed payment will kick in and be able to bring all the numbers in together, where you don't have to go from one page to the other page to keep track of your numbers.
Yeah, so that's the one thing with eBay, they're kind of far behind. So there's nothing that's really good in terms of gives you exact numbers. It won't give you your cost of goods. It won't add in give you your gross net or your net net. What managed payment store does is they're going to grab your shipping costs. Anything that eBay tracks, shipping and purchase price and fees they'll give you, right? So they'll give you a little bit of information that it helps out, but it's not enough to really make a difference, right? That's why, like, if you can use us or somebody else, it doesn't matter on that side. I would recommend going, or do it yourself, recommend going through and getting those numbers, right? And really tracking, because if you can track what you are doing, you can then build something a lot faster, because you'll know exactly what you're doing, your numbers, your turnovers, your return on investment, all that kind of stuff. So the more tracking you have, the better your numbers are in terms of the better tracking your numbers are, the more efficiently you can run your business. If you want to scale a business, it's all about efficiency. It's like, how easy can I make a dollar? And then that's the best way to do it. Make sense?
Yes. Also, I have another question. When I am tracking my numbers, I could have one thing on my sheet, and then when I look at eBay in debt, it's like it's another number. So I'm wondering if anybody else have that issue or can see something like that.
What do you mean by another number? And where are you getting like it from PayPal, or how are you getting the first number? Because they're adding in sales tax as well. And then PayPal is going to withdraw that sales tax before it gets to your PayPal.
Like if my profit on my sheet, I could see a profit number of maybe $20. Mm-hmm. But when I look at eBay's overall total, it's like my profit has decreased to maybe $15 because there's another number coming in from somewhere that I wasn't able to track.
Yeah, so I'll kind of run the numbers on that side. So in terms of numbers, like what PayPal or what eBay is going to give you, it's going to give you the sale price. They're going to give you shipping cost, fee breakdown. Cool. So they're going to give you about 3 different numbers. And the fee breakdown, they're probably going to give you managed payments or some sort of credit card processing. These are the only things that they're going to have, right? So they won't be able to break down anything else. They don't have your cost of goods. So if you want to get your net, you need to get your cost of goods sold. This is how you can see your actual profit. So, but they won't have that. That's the biggest thing. So you're going to have to get your cost of goods sold for each different product and then add that in.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. How's it going, Phil?
Hey, good, thank you. Getting my listings up, getting more, nice. Trying to get more through to you guys. I've got a guy who's working with me now who's doing real good, and it's working really well, and we're just working on, trying to maximize every minute of, his day to make sure we're, working on that efficiency model.
On that, like kind of what Chris went through last is, what's his name? Are you doing it by hour? Are you paying him hourly, or are you doing it by per product slash like per activity?
Yeah, he's paid per hour because he's doing all sorts for me, not just listing. He's he's unloading the pallets, he's cleaning, testing, grading, tidying up the packaging where we can. Mm-hmm. He's photographing now. He's putting things on the shelf. He's putting the location skew in. He's vacuuming the place for me. He does everything. He'll organize the shipping area if we need it retidying. He does whatever I need him to do.
Mm-hmm. So with that, it makes it a little hard to like get your numbers, like your costs down dramatic, like your to be able to get your cost perfect, right? Or in terms of like you can scale, right? With that, you can try to like just average it out. It's probably the best way to do it. But at least you have a helper, and you should be moving fast.
Yeah, it's getting faster. I mean, I'm just looking now at my eBay draft listings. We've got You know, we're not where we need to be, but we're getting up to starting to work towards 10, 15 a day now. Soon that'll be 20, 25. So
Cool.
So yeah, we're going in the right direction.
Perfect. And on that, like every when you guys are listening, giving us information, try to give us as least amount as possible, unless you have those very, very hard vintage items like we talked about, Paula. Like, so I did some high-end electronics. I photoed it and kind of like tested to see how fast we can move. On high-end electronics, like cleaning and photoing, I did about 25 in an hour. That's just giving the photos and then the used condition, any sort of description. Like I had like length of like wires and stuff. Other than that, like try to keep the amount of information that's given to us at the very, very minimum, just to speed up as much time as possible. That's what I was doing when I was listing this weekend, again, trying to test everything out too.
Okay, so on your new, well, we'll call it an app. You know, the screen you have up now.
Yep.
All those plus signs are for photographs. Do they have to be in any particular order, or does it matter to you?
As of right now, no. In the next stop, we're going to have we are releasing the native app on your iPhone or Android, and that's going to be a little easier to do, but realistically, no. So as long as the default's first, the rest is just extra, right? This kind of helps people out, try to see what they need. But other than that, like as long as the default's first, it doesn't matter where you put the items. Our team's going to go through each individual thing and pick out the brand and model, especially for what you're doing, Phil. It's just about you need to be able to process through as fast as possible.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, where is this, what I'm looking at? I haven't seen this before.
Yep. So this is going to be on app.hammock.com. So you can sign up for it, and we can also give you your account as well. We just released this probably about 2 weeks ago. We are releasing a lot more. We're focusing directly on the software now instead of everything else.
So I can find this if I go on app.hammock.com. Oh, okay. Because when I started, all I did was they told me to just upload it to a Google Drive, photos, and I didn't want to have to like write a whole thing of, you know, all the information when it was in the pictures, like you said, because then I might as well list it myself. It would take 100%. The same amount of time. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Cool.
So we also just put it on our software too. If you guys ever need the link, you can just go to hammock.com, hit that sign in, and it's going to go directly to the items, right? So like, let me actually see, like this is how I did my photos. I'll bring this up. So again, I just try to move as fast as possible. Just took some photos, default photo, and the rest is going to be just the rest, right? Make sure we have the model, AccuDrive Smart, and then I think where is the model? I think it's this right here. Yeah, AccuDrive Smart Power, and I have nothing else in this at all except for the condition, right? And the condition is going to be constant. Quantity is always going to be 1 unless you change it. So that's what we're trying to do, right? Is we're trying to make it so it's super simple and as fast as possible to upload. The next thing we are releasing is a faster way to take photos, sort of like the eBay app. It's going to be automatic. Other than that, like just be able to, I'll kind of show you like my listings in general. And then we can kind of go from there. So like, yeah, so this one, like our team can pick out this super easily. Again, default photo, and then the rest is just the rest. The best way to do it would probably be take the brand and the model will be the first two. We can then kind of speed up the listing power on our end. But again, it doesn't matter. Our team will go through the photos. Let me see. Even like something super basic of this thing. So default photo, just like a basic one. And then again, this is the brand and then the models on the back end. So transparent, Optus, and then MM2. This is the full thing. So then again, I put nothing else in here except for the quantity because it is 2. So I change that, and then the use price. So again, it's like how fast can we do it? If you guys are doing shoes or anything very, very simple, I had to clean these off too. If you're doing anything very, very simple, you should be able to hit like that 30 to 40 mark. I did 25 doing like super weird. Like I measured this stuff too. Other than that, it should be able to process through. Cool. Awesome. So then, does anybody have any numbers that we can go over, and I'll kind of see how we can like scale? Does anybody have like their return on investment or turnover that we can go over, and we'll kind of talk about how we can scale and efficiently scale too. If not, I can just pull some like random numbers out.
Hey, I've got a really quick question.
Yep, man.
It's so with the Hammock app, they uploaded my drafts onto eBay. They don't actually post them. I just go check out through the drafts, and then I just post them from there and make sure it's all good, right?
You can tell us to list directly to your eBay too. So basically, like
Okay.
so what like Chris does, or I know we have other big players that do like a lot of units. Once you get familiar with what we do, then they'll just tell us, and they like what we do, and it's like kind of we done it for a while. They'll
Yeah.
tell us to list directly to their account, so we can even skip that draft process as
Okay.
well. Especially if it's kind of like stuff that's brand and model, I would even just draft it, because then you like the listings. Honestly, the listings, guys, they don't like. It's all about speed and try to get the quality up to a decent amount, and then it's just about processing through. Because the biggest bottleneck is putting up items on the storeroom floor. You can always change it if it's a bit too high in terms of pricing. Because if you look at your total solds on it's kind of going down the rabbit hole, but if you look at your total solds, 97 to 98% of your total solds is going to be one-off people buying. So they're going to be searching the brand and model, or the brand or the type of item in eBay, and they're going to be buying off that. So it's just about processing through as much as possible.
Sure. Cool. And then actually, while I have you, in terms of scale, you said liquidation is a pretty good way to, scale up a little quicker. Do you have any other recommendations on where to source for quicker scale?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll kind of go through that. There's kind of three different ways, right? So liquidation is that business aspect. You can look at, there's this thing called the 4Ds. It's basically how items, because we as resellers, we are it's called supply chain. We're basically at the end of the supply chain dump. So items get down the supply chain, and that's when we pick them up. If that's garage sales, if that's thrift stores, whatever it may be. So there's multiple different ways to do this. If you're looking to scale with a lot of product, obviously liquidation is going to be the one of the best ways, because then you have the top end funnel. Because if you look at this is for everybody as well. If you look at your total funnel in general, you need to be able to do this. It's just a big funnel. So sourcing is going to be your biggest thing. If you can just push products through, you're good. So we have liquidation. Obviously, we have garage sales, thrift. Then we also have kind of like a niche markets in terms of like buying online. So we have online arbitrage. This is what I do consistently, is online arbitrage, basically marketplace to marketplace. So you can buy on eBay. You can actually buy on eBay and sell on eBay. You can buy on Mercari and sell on Mercari, or sell on eBay. You can buy on all these different sites and do this. I would say you don't want to be able to drive, because you want to be able to take your time. Basically, how many items can you source per hour? And then how many items can you list per hour? That's gonna be your two biggest bottlenecks. That's why liquidation works really well. Is you can buy so much that you can just push that through the system. There's also consignment. This is what I did last week, and this is what you have with, if you're looking to scale, guys, and you don't have a lot of money. So if money is if money is the biggest problem, let's say you have 10K you want to spend on a business, this then turns to zero because you buy, I don't know, liquidation. Either you have to get a loan or use credit cards to be able to offset that balance, or you can do consignment. So consignment, you can run down this a lot of ways. Like what I do for consignment, again, you can check out, I'll put this in the chat. You guys can copy this if you guys want to, that's perfectly fine. So I do high-end luxury consignment only. I only touch the best of the best. But people can do like downsides and estates and stuff like that. It's all the same. But with that, I run a downside. This is kind of my side hustle, I guess you could say. With this, you can pull out a lot of products, and it's relatively easy. With this, I got this last item from an estate trust, right? Estate trust. You can also do organizers. I probably got a few $1 million worth of art, not about $1 million worth of art from an organizer as well. There's different ways you can do this. Basically, whatever way you're looking at, you need to reverse engineer it in terms of how you're getting your product. So if you're getting it from like thrift stores, look at how the thrift store is getting their product, right? So the thrift store is getting their product. Let me kill this stuff. And the thrift store is getting their product from downsizes, estates, just people, I think downsizing is just in general, right? They're getting rid of a lot of product. That means they're getting rid of it. They're pushing it out the system. Estates is when somebody passes, divorce, the 4Ds, right? Downside, death, disaster, or like if like there's a lot of stuff from thrift stores that get, if like they have water damage or their house, something gets flooded, they'll just toss everything to the thrift stores to get rid of it. So that's how like thrift stores are doing it. Whatever you're working on, guys, just try to reverse engineer it in terms of how to get better product. You have to go up the supply chain every time. So if you do a thrift store model, this is why I did estates and downsizes, is because this is where the model where the thrift store is going to. Every time you go upstream, that's where you get better prices and higher margin, right? So there's no way I could pick out $400,000 worth of product at a thrift store. I had to get it from an estate trust, because this is the top of this is the top of the funnel, right? So basically how this happens is, obviously, like for an estate, there's somebody that passes. Then it goes to a high-end ones go to an estate trust or a state lawyer, and then it goes to a state sales, and then it goes down to a thrift, and then sometimes it goes down to reseller. Sometimes resellers can be right here as well. So this is how like the supply chain of like an estate company or a downsize, or just in the thrift store. Every time you go upstream, you're making more money, and that's how you get better product too. So like in terms of liquidation, this goes for Phil and I guess for you too, Hunter. Like for like this side, so liquidation goes from a store, like a retail store slash online store. These are returns. It gets returned, right? So then this goes to a what is it called? A DC, a centralized warehouse that they pick up all the product. Then this goes to a wholesaler, and then this goes to a reseller. So this is good for you, Phil, as well. So a lot of the people that are doing liquidation, they're getting it from a wholesaler. So you want better products and better selection, you go to the distribution center of that store, right? So each time you go upstream, that's when you get better product and more margin. Because think about it this way. Every time something gets transferred, margin decreases. One, because of logistics, and then two, because let's call it hands in the pots. Like each time this happens, so DC is gonna be the logistics side. This is gonna cost money to do the sorting, and then the wholesaler is taking off money to sell to the reseller, right? So then we're making downstream.
Yeah, so I guess every time somebody touches that product, there's less profit.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, so there's a few guys in the UK which I'm looking at what they're doing quite closely, and they do some videos on Facebook, and we have 6 pallets in today. These while stocks last, it's they're £49 instead of £99. So these guys are buying these pallets. These are brand new products, clearance, end of line, end of season. Maybe, as we call it here, the grey market, short dated consumables. His video today had lots of Coca-Cola products, drinks, foods, snacks, all within 2 or 3 months. And I've been watching him, and they all sell. So, people are buying these things. Mm-hmm. So he's buying these products from somewhere, and it's not all food, it's hard goods, homewares, etc.
Yep.
So him and these other big sellers are buying these from somewhere, and I don't know where they're getting them from.
So Phil, they're getting it from distribution centers of stores, right? So we've been doing a lot of research in this because we're trying to I'll kind of give you what like our plans are in terms of trying to get you guys better product. We're trying to amass enough cash to go directly to the store, right? The store level. If we can get enough people into the store level, we can then give you guys the profit on the back end, right? So what that guy doing is he's the wholesaler and he's getting it from the distribution centers. So the best way, I'll talk about what Elon's question is too.
So he's cutting out the wholesaler. He's cutting out the guy in the middle.
So he is the wholesaler. That's why. So he's wholesaling products, right? So he is the guy in the middle, but he's getting it from the distribution center. So what you can do with the distribution center is you can call them up, right? For distribution centers, you want to ask for the salvage department. salvage department. But the problem with this is you have to buy full truckload containers, right? So it's about 24 pallets. So again, what he's doing is he's taking let's make this an easy number. Let's say he's buying $10,000 worth of product, and there's 24 pallets. He's then selling these individually, right? So then let me see if we can divide this.
Well, I mean, his video this morning was from like yesterday. He had three truckloads, so that's 3 container loads. So he had like 60 odd pallets came in yesterday, and he quickly did a video. And he sells them individually. He'll sell a case of Diet Coke for like $2 in your terms.
Yep.
Right. He's bought them probably for $1, so he's doubling his money. So there's people queuing up and coming on in their cars to buy, the whatever it is he's selling. It's amazing.
So I'll talk about it in a second. Elaine, there's 2 ways to go and talk to these people. Whatever model you're going for, if you're going to that, like the downsize and estate companies, or you're going to I call it this is business, this is consumer. So business, consumer. If you're going to business, you can always just ask, right? Like if you're trying to find who has it, call these stores that have a bunch of supply. Be like, hey, I'm a big buyer. I'm looking to buy truckloads. Can you give me the right person, right? This is a little bit more. This is the consumer side is a little more dicey in terms of that. You have to go. Like I got this connection through another estate lawyer. It's basically the DCs are a lot easier because it's a business. You can contact somebody. If your guys going consumer based, it's a little bit harder. You have to get especially in the problem is in the trust side, or like the lawyers don't trust many people. So you have to get like a recommendation through another lawyer, which you can do some things, but you can start reaching out. Give people calls and emails.
We don't trust them either.
Yeah.
True, hey, I'm a lawyer. Seriously. Except for I'm doing this instead because it's more fun.
I'm joking. My best friend's one of my best friends is a barrister here in the UK.
I'm kidding too. My husband's a lawyer. I don't trust him.
We always rib each other. Anyway, sorry, Tom, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. So in terms of what that guy's doing, again, he's just breaking them down. If you want to go to the next step to DC level, you have to be able to process a truckload, right? Or get 2 people like yourself that are more than happy to split the truckload. Because for these DCs, they're looking or just people at the next level, they want to dump off as much as possible. It could be a distribution center, or even like the trust and estate lawyers, right? They just want to have one person do everything. So what you can do is you can package your service, or there's 2 ways. You can either like package your service, or you can niche down and be really specific. So in the DC side, they're gonna have to kind of package and take as much as possible. In the trust and estate, I would niche down, kind of like what we did right here. Is we only deal with very, very high end. We'll say your high end artwork with ease, blah 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 blah. Like we're basically just doing the highest end. So we niche down. We're not taking like the basic stuff. We'll just take the super high end stuff. So there's those 2 ways. The bigger you go, the bigger companies are just gonna want to package it up and sell it bulk to you. But yeah.
Elaine, what can I ask? What you sell? What type of product?
I sell everything. Anything that I think would sell, I sell. Flesh.
Okay, so can I make a suggestion? This has worked for me in the last year. So I go to estate sales. I don't know if you do that. And I've gotten to know a few people. And this one person in particular, she needed help, either like sometimes sitting, on Saturday or Sunday, or actually when she has like too many houses to clean out at once. And I actually trade my labor for a ton of really good stuff. The first one there to pick it, and because I don't charge her, she has to pay other people, I don't know, $100 say for 6 hours or something, but I get really nice things that she's not necessarily, she doesn't care, she's not necessarily interested in. She just needs the house emptied out. And I know there are other women she calls even at the end, and there's still good stuff to just get the place cleared out, because if she's agreed to clear it all out, and people aren't necessarily doing estate sales during COVID, so she has to take it offsite to like a warehouse. She lets people dig through and take what they want, and then it costs her nothing. So if you kind of get to know these people, sometimes that can work in your favor as well. I've gotten a lot of great stuff. In fact, that's now my number one source. I have more stuff than I can actually list. So if that's the type of thing you want to go for rather than liquidation, that's a suggestion as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I'll look into that.
I had a question, Ty.
Yep.
As far as I'm having trouble figuring out, what did you call it? How long my stuff sits, my turnover.
Yep.
So is there a faster way to do it with eBay besides looking at each listing, see when I listed it and when it sold? Because it's, number one, it's pretty cumbersome to do it that way.
Yeah, so there's even a bigger problem with that. eBay actually doesn't give you how long or when your item was listed. Since it turns
Right.
over, everything has a 30-day turnover, and then that's how they charge you again, right?
Right.
There's really no way to do that directly. So that's what we try to add into our own stuff. But like,
Okay.
That's one of the biggest problems you're seeing in eBay. eBay doesn't give you good enough numbers to really optimize your business. But what you can do is like, we'll give you a tracker on our end, and that will actually give you the list date. You can then, we can have like our team go through and be able to like track that. What we are adding the software in that when you list it, let's say you list us the cost of goods and you list the item, we'll be able to track all that stuff in the near future as well.
Cool. I have another question. It's a little bit off topic, but not.
Shoot.
I was trying to get into your sign in, and it's saying it doesn't recognize my email or password. So I then put, I forgot my password, thinking, okay, maybe there was a typo, and it won't even let me send the forgot password thing. It just doesn't work.
Correct.
I know I tried to get in a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago, and maybe it was before you guys allowed sign-ins. And at that time I was just chatting with whoever if you go to hammock.com, it's the virtual person. And when I tried to sign in, I was like, I can't access anything. And they said, oh yeah, that's because that's only for us. And like only employees can access that. And I thought, well, then why did you make me come up with a password? So I'm confused. It might be that you just launched this, but I still can't get in.
Correct. Yeah. So we just launched it. So any old customers, let me know, and I'll actually put you on the list, and we have to add you in manually right now, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But that's what we have as right now. And then once we add you in manually, then you'll get a username and password, and then you can start using the software. So let me actually write that down on my list.
So how do I?
Yep. So I'll add you to the list right now on my end, and then it takes about our team will be able to put you on in probably today, or if not, really tomorrow, and we'll get you on, and then we'll send you an email with the username and password.
Oh, that would be great. Okay, so do you have my email, right?
Yep, I'll put you on. I'm doing it on my phone right now. Cool, but good question. Yeah, if anyone else wants to do that, just send me an email, and we can put you on. Obviously, the new customers will automatically be generated on there. Old customers, we have to add you on manually, which we're figuring out a way to make that a little bit easier. But it's like, what do we on our end? It's like, what do we want to have? What do we want to give to you guys first? And like, how do we prioritize that? So if you guys, whatever you guys want in terms of any features or anything like that, let us know, and we'll try to prioritize those instead of other things, right? That's what we're trying to prioritize, like photoing faster, making sure everything gets up in speed wise, that kind of information, right?
No, so this would be great, because if I can get on, then I can use that form you were showing before, and because I've got a lot of photos ready to go, but I was kind of waiting before I put them on Google Drive because I still don't have, it's not working. But at least if I can kind of get those ready, that would be good.
Yep. So then I'll send you the email later today or tomorrow with your login, and we can go from there. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Good question though. Cool. Any other questions we can go over? We got about 10 minutes left. I'm more than happy to answer any questions on your business, how to scale, anything along those lines.
Yeah, I have another question, please.
Yep.
When the guys are doing the pricing, what's the kind of process for them? Because let me tell you why I'm asking. Because I would say that 80% of the pricing is pretty much, it's where it should be. So it's pretty good. A few of them are slightly off. So, and when I say off, mainly underpriced rather than over.
Yep. So what our team's going through is they're going to the sold listings and then going and kind of aggregating those into the middle, right? So depending on what you want your listings to be, high, medium, or low, they're trying to aggregate those and then put your listing in the, let's say let's say we have 10 items that they're selling between $10 and $20. We're putting the average and then trying to get that average. So sometimes how eBay works is there's not enough information. That's why you might be seeing those mislabeled, right? But the majority of them, like you said, 80% we're getting spot on. But you can always sell us a little bit higher in the ones that are harder to list, or you can give us the higher price point as well, and then we can always deduct that as well. Either or, we're more than happy to do.
Can we specifically ask to do a certain way? Like, I mean, you're gonna laugh, but I tend to price mine, just go in the solds, put on the highest sold, and that's my price. And it's worked for me. I price high and I sell high. So yeah. Can we ask they do it that way rather than, aggregate and add 20% or something?
Yep. So what we can do is high, medium, or low, and then the high is going to be the top price, right? Medium is going to be the median price. That's where the aggregate for the median price. This one's the one that's it's harder to do, but we can do it, right? Because we're aggregating that middle price, and the low is going to be the lowest, right? So we're more than happy to do any of those. So again, let your VA know, and they'll change it on your sheet, because each person has their own sheet on the back end of what we're pricing it off of, right? So you can also do some weird pricings. Like some people are bumping it up 20% and then running a 20% off sale. We're more than happy to do that as well. Bumping up 20%. We can tailor this to you guys.
Okay.
That was based around my question as well that I was going to ask. Actually, there are people we both know one of them who puts his prices up. I think something like 25%, and then he runs a sale or he knocks. Now, what's the psychology behind that? Because if you put your price too high, then people are maybe not going to look at it in the first place, right?
Yeah, so on that side, like the psychology that the people are going for that are running this is saying, oh, people like sales, so I'm going to generate a fake sale, and that should drive more people to that. But again, I like last year and this year just alone, right? I buy a lot of product, and how I buy stuff on eBay is I just go to eBay. Well, my team does. They go to eBay and then just filter from lowest price, and then they buy those lowest price up to a certain, because I'm buying on our return on investment, right? And they're doing that, right? So if you're the reason why Amazon works well, Amazon.com. Amazon, I buy this product so you guys can buy it if you want. That's fine. Why Amazon works so well is because this buy box generates 95% of the sales, right? And this buy box is based off of price. So people it's like, let me ask a question. I kind of open to the group. If you guys are going into how do you guys shop? Do you guys shop for the lowest price, or do you guys look for service for the same product, right? That's how that's the way you got to think about this too. That's the psychology that we buy off of. So kind of give you that. But the reason why people run fake sales is because the psychology of, oh, it's on sale, I'm going to buy it, which I don't know if it works or not. Some people say it works, some people say it doesn't. We haven't run the numbers on individual people to really figure that out, which hopefully we will in the future.
My psychology of pricing things high, which does seem to work for me, but I think it mostly works with, say, one-offs, like vintage type things, is perceived value. It's definitely a thing. I take really good pictures. I do really good listings, and I try to get, really good products. I point out if there's any flaws, and people will pay more. They will pay more for that. Just like people will shop Neiman Marcus instead of Kmart, and sometimes it's the same product.
Yeah.
So, it's just a kind of a different business model. As I said, depending on what you sell, you can't do it on, kind of everyday items and expect to sell the highest price, because I do shop low to high and then work my way through if I think somebody's not. But, if you're a top rated seller, that's another plus that you can charge more for, so to speak. So there's a lot of psychology.
If you have, the rarer the product you have, the more you can charge for it. Because I'll kind of give you an example. I have a product I sell that sells about 150 units a month, and I'm the only seller. Thus, I can charge way more than anybody else, or way more than what it should be worth. Is because I have this. There's so much demand and there's not enough supply. Since I can create the price, right? It's all about supply and demand. If you're selling basically consumer items that sure, you can have some price bump up if you have the better quality item in terms of condition wise, and you can obviously show that in photos. But at that same point, if you have the best quality, if your goal is trying to maximize, so the numbers become really interesting. If your goal is trying to maximize revenue, and the more revenue you grow, the more money you can make, right? So if you're trying to maximize revenue, you should be the best quality and lowest price. Because 90, except if you're running that estate stuff it's one-offs that people are looking for that no one else has, you can then charge a higher margin. But if you're in the consumer base, if you really want to scale and move as much product as possible, depending on your turnover, if your turnover is fine, leave it the way it is. But if you're trying to up that turnover, then everything just died. Now I'm like, there we go. If you're trying to up that turnover, then best quality and lowest price is going to move a lot more product. Sure, your margins decrease, but then it becomes a scale game, right? Because in my opinion, if I did 170, if I did 170, I can do let's say my margin's 20%. I rather make this like 340 instead of, and I'm pushing margin instead of holding on to items, and I'm looking at, let's say I do a fraction. Let's say I did 350 the year before, and I'm having like a 50% margin. It's just the math goes higher. The more that's why these big companies have that's why Bezos is worth so much money, even though his margin is so slim. In terms of his overall net, so slim, it's because he's pushing out so many units. That's how he makes so much money. Because if you're in the $1 million plus, or not even that small, if you're in the 10 to 20, 30, 40, whatever that may be, you can then you can go directly to the store, right? There's more options you have, the more money you're pushing through the system, and the more cash flow you have, and you can do a lot more things. You can raise debt on this. You get financing in other ways. So personally, me, selling when I sell products, I sell new products that are the cheapest price. And that's how I move products, right? I don't care. My minimum ROI is 20%. Even sometimes I'll even take 10 to 15, depending on if it has a high return rate. Because obviously, if the return rate is 15%, I'm selling it at 15. You break even. But I try to sell my products the cheapest possible. I move volume. It's a volume game for me.
I have a question about reducing prices. So do you have any opinion or any information as to, let's say you've had something and you realize the price is too high after a couple of months or something. Mm-hmm. Do you end it and relist it with a lower price, put it on sale, or can you just reduce the price without ending it and relisting it? Is there a best way to do that?
Yeah, so it depends on your strategy. So there's different options right there. I'll kind of talk through both. I'll kind of talk through. We're gonna probably go over a few minutes, but that's fine. I have to go to the house at 9:30. But so there's kind of different options, right? So the only problem is if you end a listing, you lose watchers. So what I would do is I would send all watchers, let's say 3 to 4 days beforehand, the price you want to go down to, whatever discounted rate you want to go down to, send them all that offer at that discounted rate. And then if you have to, I would kill the listing, I would delist, reprice, and then relist. Okay. That'll become a new listing, right? Right. That's gonna be the best way to do that. So again, send all your watchers an offer, and then delist, reprice, and then relist.
Makes sense. Thanks.
100%. I think somebody else had a question.
Yeah, I tend to when I get items that are being watched, I usually send maybe once a day, send out a bunch of offers, and I just take off the minimum of 5%. And I don't know if anybody else does that, but I find that works quite well. I get quite a few extra sales from that.
Even at 5%, really?
Yeah, because I try to price my products quite well.
Right.
These guys do a good job of pricing the products for me. Sometimes it's just enough, to take somebody, to push them into the buying zone. Some of them are 10%, but most of them I just put in the minimum of 5%, and it can work on some products. On some of the more expensive products, then yeah, I'll push it up to 10% because it's a nicer number to look at.
The reason why that works is because it gets into their face, right? So it puts it into their eBay and it says like, oh, the seller's offering this. It basically gets attention, right? So if you think about sales happens the same way every time, right? Traffic like equals attention, right? Like this is all like the more traffic you have is the more attention you have, and then that equals sales, right? So that's what the offer is doing. It's basically bringing, even at that 5%, it's more about the attention that it's bringing than the offer. Even though obviously the lower you offer, the better chance you have to sell. But at the same time, it's just you're bringing a lot more attention to that item, which is powerful. Especially people that the watchers are saying that they want to buy this. So if you give them a price or you get them attention on that item, they have a higher conversion rate, which is interesting.
What about free shipping versus charging for shipping? What are your thoughts on that?
Yep, the numbers are about free shipping gets about a 15% extra bump, right? So free shipping is going to be the best if you want that 10 to 15% extra bump. That's pretty consistent around the thing, right? Personally, I don't like let me try to say. I don't know why people would price with shipping when the numbers are that way. But again, to each their own. Also with returns, right? The numbers are also saying like you should have a 30-day return policy, because it even doesn't matter, right? People are like, I don't want any returns. But how eBay works is, I know this well because we return a lot of items, the eBayers, is I can go to as not described and you're going to get the return either way. So there's no reason why you should have no returns, because eBay's going to force you to do the return. So why not take the extra bump in sales?
Oh, I totally agree with that. Actually, I've only had one return out of 350 sales.
Nice.
So I have free, 30-day returns. I don't do free returns though, because I feel like if they're going to return it, I want them to at least have to pay for the postage. So they have some skin in the game and they think about it before they buy it, just figuring out I can send it back, because then it's going to cost me to ship it there, ship it back. I just don't, I've thought about it, but I haven't done the free returns yet.
So think about the barrier to entry, right? Too. If somebody's like, oh, she doesn't offer free returns, thus I'm not going to buy it. It might dampen some sales, but like again, it's how this business model. There's best practices, but best practices aren't how, like, to each their own, right? However you guys want to run your store is how it's your thing, right? It's your baby, it's your business. So to each, you can do whatever floats the boat, right?
I think it depends on what you're selling too. I do charge for shipping. I didn't notice any difference when I did free shipping when I charge for shipping. But I think it's because the people that buy my products, they don't mind paying for shipping. They don't care. They want that particular item. They're willing to pay $100 for it. They don't care if they have to pay another $12 for shipping. I'm not sure that they do the math, which when I'm shopping, I do. I look at the free shipping price and try to figure out whether it's cheaper to just pay for shipping and buy the lower priced one versus buy a higher priced one with free shipping. The other thing I don't like about free shipping is that if I decide to have a sale and reduce my price, I'm also so if, let's say, something is $100 and $10 or $15 for shipping. So I price it free shipping $115. And then I decide to have a 20% off sale. I'm now getting less money for the shipping. So I'm actually giving more than 20% off on the product. When I charge for shipping, I reduce the price. It's only on the product. So that's another mathematical thing I've kind of thought about.
Yeah, most people should be making the money on shipping too. A lot of people when I was doing eBay, I probably made $2 to $3 on shipping. But Elaine, you have a question?
Yes. My question is the new spreadsheet we have now that we're uploading on, would it be custom? Can it be customized to the items we upload? Because the last one that we was doing before we changed to this one was sort of kind of customized to my specifics.
Can you? I'm kind of confused on the question.
Oh, it's just kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, no, I know. Is
Like
it talking about like the tracker we're giving you, or is it something else?
yeah, like the front and back. To me, this one, the new one, is more like for clothes or something, you know, high end other stuff where I just do, yeah.
You're talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The conditions. So you don't need the whole 12 photos.
No. So all we need, guys, is in the photos, we need if you're doing clothing, we'll need the default. So whatever default photo you want, and then the brand and the tag, right? Anything else, brand and model works fine, or as long as we can see the item, right? So it doesn't matter how many photos you give us, it's completely up to you, right? And all we actually need, if the brand and model are there, or brand and tag, is we just need the condition. So the whole goal is to be able to minimize the amount of effort that has to be put on your end, right? Because we want you guys to be able to scale. The whole business model between this is to be able to have you as the customer, or reseller, let's just say the reseller, do as least as possible, and then the rest gets done either by software or by our team, right? That's the overarching goal. So however you think that we can improve that, we're more than happy to like hear the idea out and then try to implement that as well. But again, whenever you're trying to think about this stuff, it's how can I do as least as possible and make Hammock do the most work as possible.
Okay.
Cool. So I got 2 minutes. I'm looking to buy a piece of property. So I got 2 minutes. Anybody have any questions? This is probably we'll do any questions for the last 2 minutes. If not, we'll jump off.
One more quick question. I just want to know if initially I signed up with Hammock just to do listings, but if I have you guys do cross listing, would I be able to look at the draft first, and only when it's good to go, then you would cross list it to the other sites? Is that how that works?
Yep. So what happened first? So we're going to do your listing, right? So I'll make this easy. So we're going to do your listing. That's going to go to your main sites. Let's just call it eBay for now.
eBay, right.
Yep. And then if you auto list with us, let's say you like our listings enough that you'll just auto list those. If not, we'll put those in a draft form. Once you launch it, then we'll cross list it.
Okay.
And we also delist too. Make sure you guys do the delist. That's probably the biggest time consumer. And how you do that is just forward us the emails to delist@hammock.com. It actually works pretty dang well. We'll do it overnight, and we are automating that process in the near future.
Hi.
Yep.
Sorry, I have one last question because I got to go as well. When you've got items that are not selling, they've been on your shelf for what kind of period should you, if something hasn't sold, what kind of period should you start to look at that product?
So what we should do
in
is,
your opinion.
Yep. What I would do is I would say first month, leave it at the price you want. Then take a 10 to 20%, 20 to 25% deduction of that price. 50% liquidate. You want to be able to get your money in, money out as fast as possible, right? Even if you break even on a product, it makes it so you get your cash. You can then be able to reinvest into another product.
Yeah. Okay. I'll look at that. And then after perhaps 3 months, and it's not sold,
liquidate it. Take the
loss. Take it off and put it in a box and bundle it up.
Yep, sell it on Facebook Marketplace or whatever that may be, or you can go to auction sites. Auction sites don't give you like no money for it, but you can always at least get some money back out of it. I would post it on Facebook Marketplace or bundle it up for resellers, which I just dump the product, box it up, and give people somebody a good deal. Either break even on it or take a little bit of a loss. Again, it's about getting the money in, money out as fast as possible.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Yep, we got one last question. Michelle says, may have missed this, but will be able to use the app to post on our own? Yep. So the app you want to be able to post, it'll be posting it on your own. That's some of the best way to do it. I think that's the question.
I gotta go. I gotta run.
Yep.
Cheers, guys.
Catch you, Phil.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Yep. So Michelle, yeah, so you can use the app, and this is what you can be able to post on the app. Again, all we need is a default photo, the brand and model or brand and tag, and then the use condition. Quantity will always be 1. So it makes it easy. Again, we want to have you guys do as least as possible and have Hammock do as much work as possible. Like we're trying to make this like as most try to push the work on us. Make sense? Cool. Yep. If that answers your question, I gotta run, guys. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll do again this on Tuesday. See you guys.
Ty. Yep.
Thanks, Ty.
See you later.